Hello, I'm Marley Defoe, and here's my English 10 visual model presentation. To begin the presentation, the essential question needs to be addressed. What is the impact of a single moment on a life, and how do our choices reveal our character? Throughout this year, many of the texts we have read would be able to answer this question, such as Of Mice and Men, 102 Minutes, and even Hansel and Gretel. But let's start off with one of our main core texts, Of Mice and Men. Within Of Mice and Men, we learn of a time when Lenny and George had to flee from their old home in Weed and move to where they currently are now near Soledad. Whilst George speaks with Lenny, he talks about the conflict in Weed. She jerks back and you hold on like it was a mouse. She yells and we gotta hide in the irrigation ditch all day with guys looking for us. With revealing this to the audience, we see how this one moment in their lives affected them so much that they had to flee to another location and to start fresh. As well as George and Lenny having to start over in this new town, there is future conflict that further tackles the essential question. Within the story, when Lenny and Curly get into a tussle, Lenny believes that this means he will not be able to take care of the rabbits when they get their new land. But George quickly reassures Lenny at his question being posed. I can still tend the rabbits, right George? Sure, you ain't done nothing wrong. With Lenny taking the single moment in his life and riskily fighting Curly, he still ends up with the outcome he had been hoping for all along, which was still being trusted to tend the rabbits when they get their new land. Finally, nearing the end of the novel written by John Steinbeck, Lenny and Curly's wife ended up seeing each other while in the barn. But while Curly's wife took this moment, it impacted her life severely with Lenny accidentally murdering her. She knew what could have happened whilst with Lenny, but she took a chance and ended up paying the price.
Let go! Let go!
Do none of that. Please, don't you go yelling. Don't you go yelling. Don't yell. Don't do that. George is gonna be mad if you yell. I wanna hurt you, but you're gonna get me in trouble. You done a bad thing. You done a bad thing. You done a really bad thing.
The next core text being discussed with the essential question is Macbeth, written by Shakespeare. Within the beginning of the play, Macbeth meets three witches whom tell him different things that will happen in his near future. At first, Macbeth did not believe them until certain situations the witches had said started to truly become the truth. Call thee the Thane of Cawdor. What? Can the devil speak true? With Macbeth deciding to trust these witches, it eventually ended up being a mistake and started all of the conflicts which end up costing him his own life. If he had not talked to the witches in the first place, then all of these murders could have been avoided. As well as Macbeth's mistake of listening to the witches in the first place, Macbeth creates even more chaos within the kingdom with the decision to murder King Duncan. As Macbeth is talking with himself, the bell rings for him to carry out the deed. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me, hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. If Macbeth had decided to not kill King Duncan, then the chaos within the kingdom would not have erupted as quickly as it had. Finally, nearing the end of the play, Lady Macbeth starts to sleepwalk. During these older times, everyone believed that sleepwalkers were just people who were filled with an immense amount of guilt. While the doctor and the gentlewoman were conversing, they noticed Lady Macbeth's strange habit. She has light by her continually, 'tis her command. You see her eyes are open, aye, but their senses are shut. With her choice of helping her husband murder King Duncan, her character in the beginning shows her as tough, but in the end her true emotions of overwhelming guilt are revealed. Not only had we read main core texts throughout the year, but there have also been many supplemental texts that we read that could answer the essential question. The one being focused on within this presentation is Cinderella by the Grimm brothers. As the story progresses, Cinderella leaves the dance, but her shoe gets stuck, so she leaves it behind. Her left slipper is stuck in the pitch. The prince picked it up. It was small and dainty and pure of gold. The next morning he went with it to the man and said to him, "No one shall be my wife except for the one whose foot fits this golden shoe." With Cinderella choosing that one moment to leave her shoe, it ended up in her favor, since it helped her prince find her once again and take her away from her wretched stepsisters and her stepmother. As well as Cinderella choosing to leave her slipper, another one of her decisions ended up being in her favor. She asked her father to bring her back a branch, but she didn't expect it to do what it did. Cinderella thanked him, went to her mother's grave, and planted the branch on it, and she wept so much that her tears fell upon it and watered it. It grew and became a beautiful tree. The choice she made to have her father bring her back a tree branch instead of something big and expensive ends up helping out Cinderella. With the tree branch she chose, it ended up sprouting into a tree, which housed the magical birds who granted her every wish, and without those birds she would not have been able to get her happily ever after. The real-world example chosen to go along with the essential question is the Parkland school shooting. This was a tragic event where 17 were murdered and 14 were injured or hospitalized. But that number could have been higher if it weren't for teacher and now hero Ernie Rozbierski. Ernie was able to keep an entire class of students safe and even faced a gunman with a bullet just grazing himself. He saw that opportunity to try and go after the gunman, and so he risked his life knowing that others would be saved in the process. Without Ernie taking that one chance, who knows how many more could have been killed, including some from that very class.